Hi, Professor Awesome here with part 2 of the series on how to choose a college or university. And this one is on the don'ts. And these don'ts are aimed not just at the at prospective students, but also if you're a traditional student and you're being advised by your parents. This is also aimed at parents as well. First thing that you want to be sure, and this is all about don'ts. So the first thing you want to make sure you don't do is don't follow someone. Don't follow someone else to school. Make your own path. Now, of course, people will often want to follow their boyfriend or their girlfriend to school. Not a good idea. I probably don't need to preach to you why that's not a good idea to make that choice. But also people will follow their friends to school. All my friends are going here. All my friends are going there. I'll hear parents say, well, all their friends are going to that school. That's really not a good idea to choose a school that way. Why would you do that? Well, one thing is like, well, maybe they'll have some more support. But, the way that a college campus is organized, if they're going to a residential experience, the way that works, they'll be living in a dorm. They will have their food provided for them. They don't need that support system of their friends. In fact, it's better for them if they don't have it and they go and they meet new people. And aside from that, once you go to school, you're not going to take all the same classes with those people. No matter how hard you try to make your schedules the same, even if you have the same major, it's very difficult to have the same classes together, except in the tiniest schools where you have the tiniest course offerings available. So don't follow your friends. You think, well, I might lose my friends. Well, you might. But the truth is, you probably won't. I have friends from elementary school. I have friends from middle school. I have friends from high school. I'm not friends with them because I went to college with them. I'm friends with them because we have a shared history, because we come from the same place. You can have those people as your lifelong friends without following the school. Besides, even if you did, what's the game plan then? You graduate and then you're going to follow them to a business that they're going to work for. You're going to make sure that you live in the same town that they live in, that you live on the same block that they live on, that you work for the same company. That game is just not going to work. It's time to go out on your own. And parents, you need to recommend that your students do. Now, and this is particularly aimed at the parents, it's also not a good idea to follow family. This includes parents. Sometimes you'll hear, well, my brother went there, my sister went there, they had a good time. But I find more often it's parents who want to push their alma mater on their children. Parents, it's not the same school you went to. All of your friends have graduated, and frankly, if none of your friends have graduated, there's a problem with that school. It's not a school, that's a cult compound that you went to. Aside from that, the professors, they're all dead or retired. The campus looks entirely different. Your child will have a very different experience. So don't push them to go to the school that you went to. Now, some schools do have a kind of legacy scholarship of some kind where if your parents went there, there might be some scholarship money. And if that's the case, then that, is a reason that's reason to consider the school. But parents, do not try to relive your college education vicariously through your children. It's not good for them, and frankly will be disappointing to you. Now, one of the problems with traditional students, by which we mean students who are, they start school when they're 18 or 19 and then they live on a campus, is they're making those decisions when they're 17 years old, and they don't know anything about the world. I know I didn't know anything about the world. I remember trying to make those choices and really having no idea what was a good school and what wasn't. And so very often they think about sports. Well, I saw this sports team. My family, we're fans of this team of this school's sports. And I hear they have a good program, and all my neighbors, they wear the regalia from this school, so that must be a good school. No. In fact, usually the schools with the better sports programs are not as good academically. Now, that's not always the case. There are certainly some schools with storied programs that are also storied academically as well, but usually not. Your first sign of this is they're trying to sell you their sports program, not their academics. That probably tells you something, that that's what they have to offer their alumni. So the only reason that the sports life of a school should ever enter that is if you think you can get some kind of athletic scholarship. Listen, if you can get an athletic scholarship and you get the school to pay you to go there, great, do that, apply there. But if it's just you happen to be fans of them, you can go be fans somewhere else. You be fans of your alma mater, the place that you will actually graduate from. If you feel like, well, I really want to be fans of this other sports team, fine, you can be a fan, but don't let that rule your life. You have more important things to do than organize your life around your sports fandom. Now, once I've said that, people go like, oh, well, academics. So this place has a very well-regarded program. This place has a very well-regarded medical school. This place has a very well-regarded law school, for example. And those are all important things. But there's a difference between undergraduate and graduate programs. Undergraduate programs are what we consider the first 4 years of school. Graduate programs and professional programs are the ones that happen after that. And so very often when you'll hear that this school has a great, for example, medical program, well, what does that mean? What that means is not that the people who are going to school the first 4 years are going to do that, but rather that's a good place to go to graduate school, but not necessarily a good place to go to undergraduate school. And truly, it's generally not a great place to go to undergraduate school because you will then be taught by the TAs, the teaching assistants or the graduate assistants who are studying in the graduate program. You're not going to be taught by the professors. And if you're not certain whether that's the case, there's one really easy fix to find out. All you have to do to see, am I going to be taught by professors or am I going to be taught by graduate students, is you go on to the department website for whatever department you want to look at, and you just look at the names of all the professors. You can write down those names. And then most schools will have a kind of online course catalog where you can see what's being taught that next semester. And look at those names. Are the undergraduate level classes, usually 1, 2, 3, and 400 level classes, or if they have 4 digits, 1, 2, 3, and 4,000 level classes, are those names appearing there, especially in the 3 and 4,000 level classes, or do those only appear in the 500 or 5,000, 600, or 6,000 level classes? If that's the case, those are probably graduate programs, and you will then not be studying with those sorts of faculty. Aside from that, you generally will not go to the same graduate school that you did your undergraduate program in. So you're really shooting yourself in the foot. If you say, I really want to go to medical school at such and such a school, then do your undergraduate medical school elsewhere and then apply there for your professional school, for the medical school after that. So be very careful and distinguish, don't confuse an undergraduate program with a graduate program. And finally, I want to really caution both parents and students, and really anybody who's applying to a school, don't reject yourself. What does that mean? Don't reject yourself. Well, there's that guy, who he would never ask a girl out because when you said, oh, you should ask her out, I hear she's interested in you, he'll say, oh, no, she's out of my league. She wouldn't be interested in me. And because of that, he's rejecting himself. He doesn't give her the opportunity to do that. Most people will recommend a kind of strategy where they'll say, well, you need to have what we call a safety school. It's a school you're pretty sure you can get into. And then instead of match schools, which you think, well, this is a school that, these are schools that people like me can normally get into with my sort of academic background. And then there's the reach school, the schools that it's really hard for someone like me to get into. Don't be afraid to apply to your reach schools. As long as you meet the minimum academic requirements, don't be afraid to apply to them. Because schools will accept and reject people based on a variety of weird metrics that you really can't game out in advance. You can put together the best application packet that you want, and someone else with one slight difference, one very small difference in their packet that might not even to your mind be academic or be something the school is looking for, will get accepted and you will not, or vice versa. Don't reject yourself before you go there. And by the way, this is also true for money. Parents will often say to their children, we cannot afford that school, so do not apply to that school. That is not a great idea, because the way that financial aid is meted out according to need. This is how it's meted out. So a school that you can, on paper, afford more will probably you can probably afford better, will probably end up costing you more. If you end up getting accepted to a school that there's no way you can afford, you'll probably end up, depending on a variety of factors, okay, with greater opportunity for financial aid from that school that will end up making it cheaper. In my own case, I went to the most expensive school I applied to. And I didn't want to apply to it for exactly that reason. There's no way we can afford this. But I went to the most expensive school I applied to because after financial aid, it was the cheapest school that I got accepted to after financial aid because my need was so great. They offered me a lot of financial aid, both from the federal government and from the school, and cobbling it all together, I could afford it. Whereas schools that were more in line with what people in my financial background normally think about going to, I couldn't afford to go there because they didn't offer the kind of financial aid package that I would need. So what happens if you apply and you get accepted and you can't afford to go there? Then don't go there. If it turns out that they can't offer you the financial aid you need, then don't go there. So don't reject yourself before you apply. So those are some things not to do. In part 3 of the series, I'm going to tell you things that you should do in trying to choose a college or university.